Hello friends, today I will talk about fantasy, adventure and sci-fi movie named Gulliver's Travels. Lemuel Gulliver, Jack Black, is content to coast through life while working in the mailroom of a New York literary powerhouse, but when Dan, T.J. Miller, a new employee, is promoted to be his boss in less than a day, Gulliver decides to snag an assignment to be a new travel writer in an effort to impress his significant other, travel editor Darcy Silverman, Amanda Peet. Gulliver, who has been tasked with investigating unexplainable events surrounding the Bermuda Triangle, is on board the not-for-sale when it is attacked by a powerful storm and sucked into a massive inverted vortex by irate little men a tenth of his size when he awakens on the island of Lilliput. General Edward, Chris O'Dowd, has caught him and paraded him through Lilliput streets before King Theodore, Billy Connolly, Queen Isabel, Catherine Tate, and Princess Mary, Emily Blunt. The Lilliputians call Gulliver the Beast, and he is imprisoned in chains in the island's dungeon beside the water. There, he meets and bonds with Horatio, Jason Segel, who was once the tallest man on the island by a few millimeters before being imprisoned for unlawful wooing of Princess Mary. The warning bells sound to herald a Blefuscan attack, in which they attempt to kidnap the princess and burn the palace, and soon Gulliver is put to work tilling the fields. General Edward, who is courageous and self-centered, goes off to save the day, but Horatio realizes he won't make it to the princess in time and asks Gulliver for assistance. In order to put out the fires in the palace and save the king, Gulliver does the only thing he can think of: he takes a sizable leak. Horatio frees his huge companion from his chains, and then the two of them are gone. First, Gulliver tosses the enemy spies into the town pond. He succeeds in dousing the flames, but Edward, who receives a thorough wash in the yellow substance, is not amused. The Lilliputians host a lavish feast in honor of their savior and get to work building Gulliver's dream house by the sea. Gulliver has a relatively good existence, and the islanders are in awe of the tales about him, all scenes from famous movies. With the assistance of Gulliver, and the artist, formerly known as Prince, Horatio is able to approach the princess successfully. Gulliver requests permission to stay when General Edward finally locates Gulliver's ship. This is Edward's final straw, and the king orders him to take a break so Gulliver can be appointed the new general in his place. In an effort to take back his position, Edward undermines the island's defenses. The armada of the Blefuscan then approaches after a massive cannonball attack by the former. Gulliver has been called. In an effort to broker a ceasefire with the opposition, he wades out into the sea. Instead, the Blefuscans launch an attack, but Gulliver's gut deflects all the cannonballs with the help of an elastic band, which then refires the metal at the ships. Gulliver takes hold of the guide ropes and drags the armada away, further solidifying his relationship with the Lilliputians. With instructions from Gulliver's recovered loot, including a booklet on how to build your own robot, former General Edward slips away to the enemy. Gulliver accepts Edward's challenge to a duel inside a 6-foot-tall robot when he returns to Lilliput. As Gulliver tries to flee, he gives him a huge wedgie and reveals Gulliver's true self. While the Blefuscan seize control of Lilliput and the king and queen are imprisoned in the dungeon, Gulliver is exiled to the island people don't talk about while being bound to a large raft. Darcy, who had to accept the writing assignment, is currently shipwrecked on the island of Lilliput in the same storm. Edward the General captures her. Horatio flees in order to track down Gulliver and visit the Forbidden Island. On the island they don't talk about, Gulliver awakens to discover himself outside a huge house. He is abducted by a small girl who is also very tall and made to embrace a new life as a doll living in a huge doll's house. Horatio locates Gulliver that evening and urges his companion to flee. They jump from the house and float back to Lilliput using a deceased pilot's parachute. Darcy is locked up as Gulliver arrives at the dungeons. He is open with Darcy about his past and his affections for her. Now brimming with courage, he frees everyone and challenges General Edward to a winner-take-all rematch. Edward is prepared in the enormous robot and has a new, top-secret weapon: electricity. Before Gulliver arrived, they didn't seem to have electricity, therefore Gulliver is in serious trouble. With courage, Horatio seizes a horse, enters the robot, and disables the powerful weapon. It's a more fair battle. Gulliver throws the robot a couple blows to the head before giving him a robot wedgie to put him back to sleep. Gulliver ponders the question, war, what is it good for, as the Lilliput king and the Blefuscan leader prepare to engage and captured by General Edward and drives him away. Gulliver is back in New York, working as a travel writer, spending more time with Darcy, and displaying framed copies of his published travel essays on the wall. With a new mail room attendant, Dan from the mail room walks into the office and is promptly put in his place. As it comes to a close, we catch a glimpse of Gulliver's writings next to the text of the original Jonathan Swift novel.